Can you see it? Just over the horizon. The dawn of a new age in Valorant esports. The rise of #Supremacy. 3 Southeast Asian sides made the cut for the finale of the first season of Valorant esports drama. And while they may say otherwise, plenty of fans figured they'd be travelling more in hope than in confidence. And yet of those 3 tenacious teams, X10 Crit, Team Secret and Full Sense, 2 made it out of tricky groups to represent their region in the playoffs. If you're keeping count, North America only took Cloud9 to the business end of champs. It's simple maths, my friends. #Supremacy is here to stay. There's no doubt the region is pretty often overlooked when we're talking about the biggest teams or tournament favourites. Full Sense may have struggled, it's true. Their one real highlight taking Cloud9 to overtime in their final game of the tournament before they were ultimately sent home winless. But X10 and Team Secret in particular tore up the rules on how this whole tournament was supposed to play out. First came X10 Crit, buffed by the return of Starman Patipan from a wrist injury that had kept him out of the entirety of Stage 3. The Duelist main set about making up for lost time and lost frags by personally terminating anyone who stood in X10's way. They beat Brazilian Dark Horse's Cade Stars, barely breaking a sweat, Patipan and Sushi Boys dropping just short of 80 frags between them and keeping Brazilian Wonder Kids, Heat and Muzeira under wraps as the South Americans folded under the wave of Supremacy. But the biggest result by far was their dismantling of the vastly favoured and, let's face it, one of the favourites for the whole tournament, Team Envy. A side that X10 had lost to in a clean sweep in their opening match, Envy were North America's last hope of overthrowing Southeast Asia in the race for representatives in the playoffs. But X10 were in the mood for crits. While all 3 maps were close, the reality was it could have been a 2-map game if X10 hadn't conspired to throw away a 4-round lead on Icebox. Given Envy's performance at Masters Berlin, just missing out on the title to Gambit Esports, they were favourites for a reason, and yet Ye and his merry band of green-eyed FPS kings could not unpin themselves from the methodical and often explosive X10 approach. Patty may have caught the headlines with a fine +11 on map 3 to bag the dub, but Envy's downfall actually stemmed from a performance of finest vintage from Sushi Boys, dropping a 1.24 KD from 62 kills and 17 assists. As X10 get ready for life after Patipan, they'll hope that Sushi has got plenty more top fragger energy in him to keep them bothering Valorant's top table. When all was said and done, Patipan bagged a spot in the top 10 for ACS across the entire tournament and was top 8 for average damage dealt per round, going out with a bang and almost half a century of kills as X10's energy ultimately faded and they dropped out against Gambit in the quarters. Sadly, this was the last we're going to get to see of Patty at his very best at an international Valorant event. The 18-year-old Thai wonder kid officially retired himself from Riot's up-and-coming FPS the moment X10 went out. With his next move now confirmed to be onwards to the Overwatch League and LA Gladiators, Valorant and X10's loss will undoubtedly be Overwatch's game. Still, if you're going to bow out, do it in style, right? That said, with X10 now lacking their star turn, the #Supremacy champions look vulnerable to a new challenger on the Southeast Asia scene. Team Secret were a breath of fresh air at champs, opening the tournament by sending shockwaves through the whole scene, taking the first map against Masters champions Gambit. While it ultimately didn't matter much, once the Russians managed to push back the Philippine side, Team Secret clearly had some secret weapons of their own. Both Dubstep and Dispenser were exceptional and carried their team to greater heights than anyone thought possible. Dubstep took up the role of one-man fragging machine, scoring 20 kills alone in that map 1 win against Gambit, and showed up big time in his team's decisive match against Brazil's Team Vikings. The composed Jetstar smashed out 45 kills across the 2-map series, giving him a brain-melting 1.73 kill-death ratio. Pretty sensational at this level of Valorant. Dubstep ended champions among the top 10 for ACS across the whole tournament, bagging an identical record to X10's Patipan, and proved himself to be one of the finest entry fraggers in the world. Dubstep scored the first kill on average every 4 rounds in Berlin, putting him top 3 for average first kills per round. Pretty amazing when you think he's playing against some of the sweatiest shooters in the world right now. Dispenser as a Sentinel main ran the show, lurking in his corners and protecting sites with precise placement shots while his teammates ran off to hunt down the rest, going +16 against Crazy Raccoon and Team Vikings. Consistency, as they say, is king. Add to that a completely ridiculous 38% clutch rate from controller main Borkram, and the fact that they only actually lost matches to the 2 teams who ended up in in the final, Gambit and Ascend, it all adds up to Team Secret more than living up to the #Supremacy legend. Stats like these mean some of the top talent plying their FPS flicks in Southeast Asia are not only rubbing shoulders with the world's best, but surpassing them. X10 and Team Secret, along with fellow South American overachieving underdogs Crew Esports, proved a long time ago that Valorant has never been a two-region show. Forget North America and forget EMEA. The era of #Supremacy may finally be here.